Hey, welcome to my channel. So today I'm going to be sharing how I draw or sketch lips and just sharing the methods on how I go about it to eventually get something that looks like this. So starting off, I personally like to draw the shape of the inner lips first and then work my way out. For this lip shape, I call it the heart, which is just a boxy heart shape, and it's made up of a M shape for the top and connected by a V shape for the bottom with two lines on the sides. For the upper lips, I draw a small curve for the Cupid's bow, and then for the bottom lip, I draw a wide C shape. And then two more curves for the corners and two lines connecting the upper lip together. Here I'm showing another way to make the boxy heart shape that's more broken down and easier to understand. Basically, you draw a line and you put two triangles on the top, then you connect the bottom outer corners together, and then you draw the rest of the lips. And then connect those inner corners of the triangles together. Erase the middle, and then you have the same inner lip shape. Next, I'm showing how I approach closed mouths. For me, the easiest way to draw this is starting with the M shape and then adding lines to the sides for the corners. Depending on how far you make the lines above and below the M shape, you can make the lips thinner or thicker. So if you want a thicker bottom lip, you can move the lines farther away from the end shape. Or if you want a thinner lip, you can move it closer to the M shape in the middle. And here's a demonstration of that. I also decided to curve the lines for the M, and you can also play around with that, whether you want something more curved or if you want something a bit more angled. Another thing you can mess with is the curves of the lines above the M shape as well, so you can get more of a heart-shaped lip look. For this next closed lip, I drew a rhombus, and then I kind of thought of these lips, the upper lips, as bean pods, if that makes sense, or like peanuts. And I drew kind of like a bean shape for the top, and then for the bottom I just connected it like normal. For this one, I basically thought of how you draw a bird sort of with the wings up, and I curved all the lines for the M shape, and then I just drew the lips a bit wider and a bit thicker just to show what that would look like. And now I'm just showing the direction of the way that the lines go for the closed lips. And just finishing off a diagram for the heart shape. Next is the eye-shaped lips. So these lips are what they say they are. They're basically an eye shape with two lines on the sides. I draw one short line first, and then I draw the oval eye shape, and then I add another short line on the other side along with the curved corners. After that, I make the line for the bottom lip and a really small shape, curved shape for the Cupid's bow, and then I go ahead and connect everything. For this mouth, I decided to add some teeth and gums, and I just thought it would look better instead of just a weird blank spot. But I could probably show how to do that in another video if you guys would like to see that. So this one is more of a closed eye shape, like a smaller oval shape. And it's basically the same as the other one, it just gives a slightly different look. Sometimes for the corners I like to add this P shape, so I just thought I'd note that. And then here's the little diagram that I drew for the gums. So they're like a pointed, curvy triangle, if that makes sense. Next is the side view. This one's a bit tricky, so I'm going to number the steps and use arrows pointing to which order to draw these lines. I didn't really have a perfect way of explaining this, but I did draw out this diagram to try to get my point across. I will say I do have some trouble with the proportions for the side view, so the best thing I'd say is to practice it and use references. But yeah, this is me drawing from memory, so make sure you practice whatever you're struggling with. These lips kind of came out more of like a heart shape from the side, if that makes sense, with like a crack in the middle. So yeah, I hope this diagram was kind of helpful in some way. You can rewind it as many times as you need. But now we're on to the 3/4 view. And the best way I can kind of describe this one, I'm doing like a little warm up here, but the best way I can describe drawing the middle shape for this is like a kite shape, but with a chunk taken out of the corner. And then I like to draw the corners with the curved lines on the sides. But after that warm up, here I am just drawing it out slowly so you can see. Now I'm demonstrating how I draw that kite shape that I mentioned. First you draw a long sideways triangle starting from the middle, and then you draw another one facing the opposite direction, but you make that other triangle shorter than the last one. Then where the triangles meet, you take out a chunk from the top and you roughly have the shape that you need. After that, I go back to the one that I was originally drawing and I added the corners and I adjusted the line length on the left side a little bit. But the lines that I make for these lips follow the inner shape's direction that we created, and I drew them with the same steps as the other front view lips. But the main difference is that the bottom lip is a little bit more curved on the right side of this mouth compared to the other ones. So I curve it up and then inward. And then I decided to draw it again just so you can see. But it's the same steps as the other lips for creating the upper and bottom lip. Again, it just curves in more on the right side. I adjusted the cupid's bow and I was pretty much happy with how that looked, so I left it. So here we are at the shading part of this video. I drew some lips off camera using the same methods from before, as well as using the same lips that you've seen me draw earlier. For shading, I used a combination of a airbrush and cross-hatching, which I usually don't use cross-hatching, but I feel like the cross-hatching added some extra texture to the drawings rather than everything being a super smooth airbrush look. And I also added some lines to kind of make the lips look plump. For the highlights, I used an eraser, the flat brush as an eraser, and I made little rectangular shapes on the lips. And then for the shading, the airbrush, I used the airbrush and I darkened the inner parts of the lips. It's not mandatory or anything, but it just gives a look that I feel looks really pretty. But I basically repeat this process and just use the airbrush to start the shading on everything, and then I start cross-hatching basically to the shape of the lips, and I also shade to the shape of the lips as well. And then I blend things out, make some highlights. For my regular color drawings, I do not use the erase tool to make highlights, just because it could cause problems and then I have to redraw something if I didn't like them. But now I'm on these bean or peanut shaped lips. I love these lips, they're so pretty. But I color the inner parts, and I also make a little bit of a darker area in the bottom lip. I also like these lips as well. They're a little bit smaller. What I like mainly is how I airbrushed the middle section out. It kind of created its own lines in a way. And then onto the side profile, basically the same thing. I didn't want to show it too much because I feel like it would get redundant, but yeah, that's pretty much how everything turned out. I appreciate you for watching, and I hope this was helpful in some sort of way or interesting. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Thank you for watching.